the first hard truth, and this one's hard for me, I got to admit this, but we've looked at it every which way, and I think it is true that we did not achieve the surprise that we wanted to deliver tonight. And I think that that's just a hard fact that we're going to have to accept as a campaign. And the question then is, what do we do that is right for our country? And so Purv and I, we actually didn't make this contingency plan before everybody told us to. We said, no, we're not doing that. But we talked about it tonight. We took a little bit of time in our apartment in Des Moines before coming here to make some hard choices. And I wanted to make a couple of announcements tonight to get the business out of the way. And then I want to tell you where we're going. As of this moment, we are going to suspend this presidential campaign. And this is going to have to be, there is no path for me to be the next president absent things that we don't want to see happen in this country. And I think that I am very worried for our country. I think we are skating on thin ice as a nation. We have done everything in our part to make, and done, every one of us in this room has done our part to save this country. And I am so proud of every one of you who have lifted us up. But we're a campaign founded on the truth. And so that's why we've made that decision today. And I'm also making the decision that this has to be an America First candidate in that White House. As I've said since the beginning, there are two America First candidates in this race. And earlier tonight, I called Donald Trump to tell him that I congratulated him on his victory. And now going forward, he will have my full endorsement for the presidency. And I think we're going to do the right thing for this country.
What's going on, everyone? It's Talks Weekend here today. And as you saw from the intro, Vivek Ramaswamy has decided to suspend his campaign. Man had a great run. As much as ideally I want him to be a candidate, the American people have spoken. And one thing I can respect about Vivek is that he stood with his convictions to the end, right? He didn't believe the polls. He didn't believe outside opinions. He didn't believe what talking heads online was saying. He said, no, I'm going to wait for the American people to tell me if they want me or not. And they made their decision. As you can see, here's the live results. This is also a recap of what happened in Iowa and how Trump has showed his dominance, right? Trump finished with 51% of the vote. Close second, far second, Ron DeSantis with 21% of the vote. So Trump beat him by 30 percentage points. Nikki Haley, even worse so. And Vivek Ramaswamy obviously finished at 7.7%. If you round it up, it's 8% of the vote. So the polls seem accurate, at least in regards to Iowa. And many people, are congratulating Vivek, right? Congratulations Vivek, for a man with near zero name recognition. He showed that he belonged as a voice on the political stage. And he did a tremendous job shifting the narrative on DEI and other critical issues facing this country. Now, having made his point, he has dropped out to make sure no more time or resources are wasted on a primary that is over. It's time for other candidates to do the same. And this is kind of how my recap is going to be kind of centered around. And it's not only because my guy Law dropped out and now I'm like, okay, yeah, everyone got to drop out now. It just don't make no sense. I think I forgot the amount, but GOP has spent a lot of money on the primaries just so the nearest candidate loses by 30 percentage points. It don't make any sense anymore, right? Trump is like Thanos right now. He's inevitable right now. All you're doing is wasting money and resources at this point. And I agree with Charlie Kirk's assessment here. And I think this is what Vivek saw as well, right? Like just look at it. Like, he won every county. Right. And then you got other people who are going to try to cheer this as a reason to continue. But Vivek sees it. He's like, oh, yeah, the people want Trump. The polls, only one poll was inaccurate. And that was the polls that everyone wanted a new president. That's one of the reasons I supported Vivek, because I wanted, something new, something fresh. Right. And I'm practical. I call myself a practical idealist. Ideally, I want something, but I understand when reality tells you no, you must accept no. And that's what I can respect about Vivek. Because this is one of the reasons why, if you saw earlier videos and you see me how I interact with my comment section, I was telling folks, hey, after January 15th, I don't know. And I think this is, you could kind of tell the signs that Vivek was going to do this is because he tried so hard in Iowa. Like, man was campaigning. He stopped spending money on ads. He was trying to conserve his resources. He went on the ground and he gave it his best effort. And I think he could suspend his campaign with no regrets, knowing that he tried his hardest. Right now, he endorsed Donald Trump, as you saw from the intro. Right now, all the people who were bashing him, calling him a plant and all that stuff, are now the same people saying, "Oh my God, you ran a great campaign." I'm like, yo, what is this? It's so funny though. It's so hilarious when you do something that people don't want you to do, and they'll call you all kinds of names. They'll say you're a plant, Obama 2.0. But the minute you bow out and you endorse the guy they want you, they endorse your guy. Now they want to say your praises. I don't understand the internet, but I digress. So mainstream media, this is the Iowa recap as well. They flipped their ish when Trump won 30 seconds into the counting of the vote. So here's a clip from Ann Reed, who said that Nikki Haley lost because of racism, and I forgot her name, Rachel Maddow, I think that's how you say her name. And they're freaked out over Donald Trump's presidency, him winning, and the problem with the Republican Party. Let's take a look.
I feel like the important sort of data point, and Steve talks about it a lot. He's going to probably talk about it a little more tonight, is that these are white Christians. That this is a state that is overrepresented by white Christians that are going to participate in these caucuses, yes. Especially tonight. Earlier today, reached out to Robbie Jones from the Public Religion Research Institute, knowing that we were going to talk about Iowa. And this is a hyper-evangelical white state. And he said the following to me: Iowa is about 61% white Christian. The country as a whole is approximately 41% white Christian. And in Iowa, we're talking about evangelical white Christians. And he said the following. Because I asked him, what do they get out of supporting Donald Trump? Because he keeps losing, he keeps delivering losses and losses and losses. And he said the following: they see themselves as the rightful inheritors of this country, and Trump has promised to give it back to them. All the things that we think about electability, about, what are people gaming out, or none of that matters when you believe that God has given you this country, that it is yours, and that everyone who is not a white conservative Christian is a fraudulent American, is a less...
The big picture takeaway from that, and I don't mean to be, again, too dark, as you said, on this, but it is not... If we are worried about the rise of authoritarianism in this country, we are worried about potential rise of fascism in this country, if we're worried about our democracy falling to an authoritarian and potentially fascist form of government, the leader who is trying to do that is part of that equation. But people wanting that is a much bigger part of that equation. Right. And the American electorate is made up of two major parties. One of those parties has been flirting with extremism on the ultra-right for a very long time. They've brought them in a way that they haven't been central to Republican electoral politics ever before, and I know because I've been studying this. But once you have radicalized one major party so that those are the preferences of the people who adhere to your party, the leader is interchangeable. And yes, Trumpism is sometimes what we call it. MAGA movement is probably a better way to do it. But there is an authoritarian movement inside Republican politics that isn't being bamboozled by Trump. They are pushing Trump to get more and more extreme, because the more extreme things he says, the more they adhere to him. And that is coming from a very large proportion of the American right that adheres to the Republican Party. And that's why this is a Republican Party problem more than it is the problem of one man and his leader.
One thing funny I find about left-wing media is that they pretend to be so objective, but really they're not. They will say, oh, let's give you a big picture. Authoritarianism has taken over the Republican Party. And I go, cap. Authoritarianism has taken over the Democratic Party. Look at the superdelegate system. You guys don't even have a primary, and your president is less popular than Donald Trump's. Like, if you look at the stats, your president's pulling at 33%, which many political experts are saying is an untenable position for re-election. But here you guys are deciding that no, Biden is going to run unopposed. You have your very own primary candidates complaining about the fact that you are not backing them. You guys are not even giving them airtime, to the point they had to go to a startup news company called Newsmax to even have an open debate about the discussions and the problems with Joe Biden. But you want to call the Republican Party an authoritarian party. At least the Republican Party gave the people a shot to run, right? There was polls, remember earlier in the polls, look, I'm going to make my argument here. Earlier in the polls, when they were asking, it was like what? I believe majority of people wanted 2 new presidents, Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Republicans said, okay, let's host a primary. Let's run something, like, let's see if Trump has to earn it again. What the Democrats decided to do? Nah. Biden's our guy. And y'all got to get behind them. Even though majority of Democrats did not want Biden, y'all forced Biden on them. Right? And then there's other plans people have that by the time summer gets along, y'all going to drop Joe Biden like a bad habit and replace him with someone else. And the Democratic voters already missed the window to actually elect somebody. In my state of Florida, the Democratic Party has canceled the primaries because they only put Joe Biden's name as a candidate for their primaries. So who sounds more authoritarian here? See, this is my problem with left-wing media. They sit here and pretend that they're objective. Oh, let's give you the big picture. No, you're trying to give me your picture. It's not a big picture. Okay, enough of me railing against the Democratic left. And this whole idea that Joy Reid is crying about racism, like Vivek got a good, like everyone's respecting Vivek now. Everyone's like, yo, you went from obscurity to now becoming a household name in politics in the Republican Party, in the conservative movement. Right? But you want to complain about racism when Vivek never changed his name to appear like a white American, Nikki Haley, Nimrata. And we have accepted him. Right? People on the new right look more like me. It's mostly multi-ethnic. But this lady here, Joy Reid, maybe because she's a boomer. I don't know how old this lady is, but she looks old. Maybe it's her boomer Gen X mindset. She hasn't updated her software yet to see the new how the Republican Party is evolving. That people who look like her are brothers in the conservative movement. Like, I don't understand this idealism of white Christian. That's a talking point. All she does is repeat herself, and it's starting to sicken me. I'm starting to get annoyed now. White Christian. No, it can't be, hey, and Trump's not even Christian, I don't think. He's not even outwardly Christian. But she's going to say, oh, they think they deserve to rule this country. Well, they deserve to be represented by this country. And it's so stupid. Black people will vote for a candidate because of their skin color. But then if someone vote for a candidate based on their faith, they somehow want to condemn that. That's so asinine, right? Anyone can identify with a faith. No one can identify with a skin color. But they decide, oh, let's vote on race. Let's vote on sex, identity. Let's vote because you're LGBTQ. But literally, Christians do the same thing now. It's oh my God, it's so bad. And all this crying about racism, Joy Reid's the only one crying about it. Because if you look at this clip from Nimrata, she happy as hell. Let's take a look.
I can safely say tonight, Iowa made this Republican primary a 2-person race.
Does that look like a lady that she didn't win because of racism? Like, look how, oh my God. Yo, if you watch mainstream media, you're brain dead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, not brain dead. You watch that ish that Joy Reid put out, you brain dead. I'm sorry. So I want to go into some data points about how Nikki Haley got such a big support. So I wrote on my board here. It's not much. It's just to outline what I got going, like what I was thinking about. And 69% of people already made the decisions way before the primary started. 69%. They said before time of decision or before the month, right? 14% said earlier this month and 11% said a few days. That means majority of voters who went in and voted in the Iowa election already made up their mind about the candidate they were going to pick. I'm assuming most of that is Trump. All right. So even then, Vivek understands. I think Vivek understands this. Maybe Vivek found his data point before I did, but that kind of explains the result that happened today. Majority of people already made up their mind, right? All the hard work Vivek did over the last month, he was only fighting for 14% of that vote, which showed it shows. All right, so I have this article here about Nimrata. I mean, Nikki Haley. That's how she goes by. Dems can give Haley a big boost in the Iowa caucus, right? All right, there's some misgivings about Trump's chance and diminishing inevitability, which is true. It got proven tonight. This article was made, when was this made? 2 days ago, right? So you already get the point I'm trying to go here, right? So there was videos out here. Major Nikki Haley donor accidentally revealed live on air. Democrats are the ones behind big money push for Haley. A number of things are coming from Democrats, right? This is why, the joke in the Republican conservative movement is, I have never met a Nikki Haley supporter. Of course you haven't, because all of them are Democrats, or mostly Democrats, right? And she's seen as the moderate candidate, as you've seen on, if you go to any talk shows by liberals, they're always preaching about how, oh, if you guys put in Nikki Haley, she's more of a threat to us than Donald Trump. Because to me, I always take this approach, right? Because human nature, we have a bias, unintentional, conscious or unconscious. But if you like somebody and you're not on that party, best chance is they're not really representing a contrarian viewpoint completely, right? And this idea that when Democrats open their mouth and say, oh, we like Nikki Haley, I think Nikki Haley got a great shot, it automatically condemns Nikki Haley to not be supported by the party, right? So I don't know. I think that's my way of rationalizing what happened, why Nikki Haley did so well. I don't think that's the only reason, right? But I just think that in politics, it's better to be different than to be better, right? Let's say, because many people are saying, oh, no, Vivek articulates way better than Trump. Or Vivek is able to go into depth about policies and plans and how he goes about executing on those plans and what avenues to take. And I don't think it mattered to most people, because they're like, yeah, but we have Trump. Trump's already proven. Trump's already been in the White House. Trump's going to be, or won't have to ramp up and do all this stuff. We know what we're getting with Trump. Familiarity is better than innovation in this sense. So I think this is what happened. Vivek's fighting for the same voting base, and I think Vivek realizes that, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna have to drop out and endorse Donald Trump. So now you can expect Donald Trump. If Vivek wasn't in the race, Donald Trump could have won by 57%. Imagine that. Yeah, this race is over, bro. I mean, at this point, if the candidates stay in, I think it's foolhardy. I think people are just waiting around for Trump to get taken out. So, and I think it's just, at this point, if Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis especially, if Ron DeSantis stays in the race, I think this will hurt him in 2028 if he decides to try to rerun again. I think the smart thing to do was to drop out, because right now we're wasting resources trying to make a dent on a 30-plus lead. It's ridiculous at this point, right? Biden's not even spending any money. Biden's worried about the general election because his party is saving him from a primary where, in my view, Biden deserves a primary more than any other candidate right now. But the Democratic Party decided, no Democratic voters, you follow us. We don't listen to you. Look at this super delegate system. But they have the gall to project what they're due onto other people. Democrats are the authoritarian party. And I just already laid out my case. If you don't understand my case, just rewind that to the part where I was showing mainstream leftist media, which is MDNC. Okay. But I digress. I think Vivek did a great job. All right. I'm glad a lot more people know about him. I've been new about Vivek's. I have all his books, so I was aware of him. And I think Vivek has a great future in this party. Donald Trump 2024. I already said that my first choice was Vivek, second choice was Trump. So naturally now Trump's my guy. All right. But hey, bittersweet moment. But hey, it just wasn't his time. People weren't ready for Vivek. That's just reality. I can't argue with reality, right? I'm not delusional. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts about the Iowa Caucus. Do you agree with some of my synopsis here? You have anything to add on to this video as well? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.